What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am going to bring you the basic combos you need to know for Yubel. I'm going to show you the direct route for going first and then the direct route for an OTK going second. So you smash the like button on the profile way above 50 likes. So if you want to continue seeing Yubel profiles, updates, combos, test stands, you name it, then do the exact same for this one, and I will bring you the competitive Unchained version and then a hero version as well. So with all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into this combo video, show you exactly what we've got. Like I said, I'm going to show you the go first combo, the go second combo, and then a very tidy test stand so you can see how the randomization works with the deck. So we're going to start off with the most important combo, and that is of course the Samsara D Lotus with any discard. Now keeping in mind, if this is your opening hand, you're still going to have 3 additional cards to utilize, but I'm going to show you what you can do on the base minimum should you top deck or move further forward down the duel this way. So you can start by normal summoning off the D Lotus. You can use this effect to tribute it off to special summon a Yubel from the deck, and you're going to be going for your Spirit of Yubel. You're going to trigger the Spirit of Yubel's effect, and this is going to allow you to search yourself out Nightmare Pain. You're then going to activate Nightmare Pain, use this effect to destroy the Spirit of Yubel in order to search yourself out Eternal Favourite, which is basically your searchable poly. So you're then going to set the Eternal Favourite while also triggering off the Spirit of Yubel's effect because it was destroyed to special summon you out the original Yubel from the deck. Now, if people do not read these cards, it's always quite funny putting it in attack because then it means they have to attack it and then they take all the damage. But it doesn't really matter whether you put it in attack or defense, we're going to be using it to fuse off anyway. As you move to the end phase, do not forget to resolve the Samsara D Lotus, and you want to make sure it comes back to the field so that Yubel contribute it to keep Yubel on the board because you don't want to be losing Yubel. That is the whole idea of this deck. So you move to your opponent's turn, and in your opponent's turn what you do is you just sit back and let them build their board. Now within reason, as soon as they're about to make an Omni Negate or a way that they can negate the Eternal Favourite, you make sure you stop it. But if you can get them to go to the battle phase because they're like, yeah, whatever, it's only Yubel, I'm just going to kill that and then OTK anyway. If they set up a board that is OTK potential, so something like 8,000 damage, and they're like, yeah, kill the Yubel, go from there. You can flip the Eternal Favourite, you're going to fuse your Yubel and as many monsters your opponent has put on the board, bar one. Unless you're going to go for the OTK and then you make sure that you just leave 8,000 damage on the board and you're going to go into a Yubel. Now technically you can do less than 8,000 damage because you will burn your opponent for 500 for every material used to summon out the Loving Defender, but that is something to remember. So the way it works, you flip Eternal Favourite, you discard your random card, and then you'll fuse Yubel and then the amount of monsters on the board. So you're either going to fuse all of it to go back to your turn as a defensive build-up, or of course you're going to fuse with the base minimum you need in order for them to then have to attack Yubel and then take all of the damage. So it will come down to whether you're in the battle phase or not. So that's your very simple direct route off the Samsara Lotus, which is why it's quite an important card. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset you this and then I'm going to show you the very basic OTK combo, which allows you to control the board state in order to get the OTK through and done. Here is the go second combo. It does specifically rely on Geist Grinder Golem, but there are other ways. You can give your opponent a Kaiju and everything else. You just need to be able to get to a Spirit of Yubel and a Yubel to the board, which can be done through the Sacred Beast engine as well. Keep in mind, going second, you will also still have 4 additional cards to play with, so these can be additional board breakers, additional board negators, or of course hand traps that would have slowed your opponent down, so keep that in mind. So what we're going to do here is you're going to be using the Grinder Golem's effect. You're going to reveal itself, or technically reveal Yubel in the hand, to give your opponent the Golem and special summon down your Spirit of Yubel. You'll then be able to trigger off Spirit Yubel's effect again. This time you're going to want to go for your Nightmare Pain as always. You're going to activate the Nightmare Pain, you're going to want to destroy the Spirit of Yubel, and you're going to go and search out, instead of going for the trap card this time, your Samsara D Lotus, as you realise you haven't conducted your normal summon. You'll then be able to trigger off the Spirit of Yubel's effect to special summon out your normal Yubel and put that in attack position. You're then going to normal summon down the Samsara D Lotus. You're going to use this effect to tribute it off to special you out the Spirit of Yubel from the deck. So now straight away what you have because of Nightmare Pain is you have 2 attacks with your Yubel monsters to the Geist Grinder Golem, which will give you 6,000 life points and burn your opponent for 6,000 as well. Now obviously I know that is not enough to complete the OTK, but do not worry. Funnily enough, Spirit Yubel and Yubel are level 10s. So you'll go to the battle phase, you'll attack with Yubel, you'll attack with Spirit of Yubel, your opponent will now be down to 2,000 life points. You still have 4 additional cards in your hand that could help you extend that bit further, but we're just going to go main phase 2, overlay both of these, go into Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, detach Yubel, and then burn your opponent for that remaining 2000 damage. Like I said, if there is more monsters on the board that you need to kind of punch through, then of course you could go into Yubel instead, and that would allow you to get a bit more damage on the board should you need to destroy some of the monsters or you couldn't guarantee the OTK. It really is up to you, and it adapts depending on what else the board state is and what other cards you have opened in order to give your opponent. There are ways of just going Nibiru, making sure Nibiru gets up to a massive fat stack above 8,000, and then very easily going into any Yubel monster, mainly Spirit or normal Yubel, and then attacking it and then dealing your opponent all of that damage. So that's why Nibiru is so good for the deck. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle up the deck. I'm going to show you a random test stand just so you can kind of see what else you can do with the deck, or what you can do when you're opening up an entire hand. Now, when we get to the Unchained version, you're starting to use stuff like Yama and everything else. That's when the deck can become a little bit more combo orientated, and where it can also show you different routes of play as well, because you get to use the competitive nature of the Unchained as well as the ability to pretty much help you control a board state a little bit more, get into more stuff like SP Little Knights, and just kind of produce more meta relevant battles, so to speak. So we're going to shuffle this up, and then we will cut it up, and then I'll show you a random test stand so you can see how the deck naturally works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I mean, going first, I mean, that's actually not bad going first. I am going to show you go second because that's the way the deck is just generally designed to play. But if this was to go first, your Pyrrhizzimat straight away searches out your Lotus. You've now got your 1-card combo all the way through. So your end board will basically be Eternal Favourite. Yes, you'll be on half life points, but you'll be Eternal Favourite plus 2 set imperms. I probably would have chosen to discard the talents, and obviously unless I get hand trapped, and then you'd still have the Yubel, Super Poly play, and everything else. But because we're going second, okay. I mean, this just kind of this kind of shows you how random the deck can be, but it works out relatively nicely. I suppose going second, let's say we're going to burn through all 3 imperms, okay? So I would have impermed during the draw phase, I would have impermed during my opponent's turn, so their board will not be that impressive. I've got the talents to crack back at them if they're doing anything, and the reason that we activate the imperms during the draw phase or the standby phase is because Pyrrhizzimat has to be activated during the start. Now, obviously, if you activate Pyrrhizzimat going second and then negate it in some form of another monster effect, then of course you do have the random application of being able to draw 2 with talents. But again, I'm just showing you how I've burnt through most of my hand anyway. So we're going to go on the base minimum. Now, with this particular line, obviously you get to add a monster with 0 attack. So the one you're going to want to be going for is your Samsara Lotus, because that is your 1-card combo that gets you pretty much where you want to go. Now, this isn't going to be as perfect as you would like it to be, but you still have ways of being able to kind of extend your board that bit further. So you'll go with the Lotus. We'll then use Lotus's effect to tribute itself off, and this will get you into the Spirit of Yubel. You can now use Spirit of Yubel's effect, and we've already got Eternal Favourite, so we're going to go for the Nightmare Pain. Now this is where the new support in Legacy of Destruction comes into play, because you'll just have more consistent ways of getting to your Samsara, as well as more consistent ways of being able to build the board. Unfortunately with Nightmare Pain, the only target we have that is a dark monster that we can destroy face up on the field or in the hand is of course Spirit of Yubel. It will still allow you to add a Yubel or a card that mentions it from the deck to the hand. We already have the Eternal Favourite, so you could go for something like a Mature Chronicle, but you're not really going to be able to get much off of the back of this one as it currently stands, because you'll need to kind of special summon more Yubel monsters in order to do so. You can go for the Grinder Geist Golem, and the reason you'd go for something like this is you can discard this off of the back of your Eternal Favourite, so you would contact fuse your opponent's entire board. And then you would put this in the graveyard, and then if you special summon Yubel while this card is in the graveyard, you get to bring it back to your opponent's field, and then you'll be able to set up that defensive play as well. So there's just loads of different options you can get off of the back of it if you wanted to. Another route of going through is you can go for a second Eternal Favourite if you feel they're going to negate the first one. It really does come down to your personal preference. As it currently stands, we're definitely going to be able to deal a decent amount of damage to our opponent, because we can just attack with Spirit of Yubel or normal Yubel, and that will do a bit of damage. Now, it's not ideal, but we have impermed 3 times to make sure that our opponent's board is not going to be as oppressive as we want it to be, so that going back to our simple 1-card combo of Lotus is still just as effective. So you'd go to the battle phase, you'd attack with the use Spirit of Yubel. You could very easily use Nightmare Pain to destroy Yubel first, search out your Geist Golem, use Spirit of Yubel's effect to get your Yubel from the deck to the board, and then do the exact same thing. It doesn't make much of a difference either way, whether you do it before the battle phase or after. And then the idea here is you would set the Eternal Favourite. If your opponent's activated a monster effect, then great, triple tactic, steal it, link off with it, or draw. Look at your opponent's hand, make sure they've lost a lot of resource. But even if we were just to hold on to these two cards, pass into our opponent's turn, they attempt to try and rebuild their board. We're then going to activate the effect of Eternal Favourite. We're going to discard the Geist Grinder Golem. Of course, you could special summon a Yubel monster that is banished or in the graveyard, but it's not really worth it as this exact moment in time. If you did go for a second one, then you could use that effect during your next turn, which would also be quite helpful. So, because you control Yubel, you're going to discard Geist Grinder as as cost, and then you get to fusion summon Yubel. Now, annoyingly, Geist Grinder will only trigger when you special summon out Yubel normally, not just a Yubel monster, which is like, Would have liked it to be a Yubel monster, but it's not the end of the world to be able to recycle the Yubel anyway. So this is pretty much where you're at. In the previous turn, make sure that you bring back the Samsara D Lotus as well to destroy it, and then Yubel will stay on the board. So I suppose that's the one benefit, but you still need to kind of get Yubel on the board in order to contact or fuse with Yubel, the Loving Defender. Because annoyingly, Eternal Favourite, if you control Yubel, whereas this requires a Yubel monster. So you have to control Yubel to use this, not just a Yubel monster. That being said, you've contact fused with the board a little bit, or technically fused for Eternal Favourite. You've burned your opponent for a bit of life points. If you've done it in the battle phase, they have to attack this. It really just kind of puts them in a bit of position. And then you've also got the ability of Nightmare Pain, if you really want to, destroy Yubel, search out any of your Yubel monsters, so go back to Samsara Lotus, use Samsara Lotus's effect, and just kind of loop yourself around back. So, and that was it, just with a random test hand, for the pure fact, I mean, when your opening hand is this, it's pretty funny that you still had a way to get to the one card combo, and you've really slowed your opponent down a little bit as well. Anyway, if you want to see more from Yubel, whether it be test hands, whether it be updated profiles, then make sure you smash that like button. Getting a video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, like you did with the profile, will unlock that for you as we move closer to release day. I'm also going to be bringing you an Ashen profile, which is the brand new TCG exclusive, alongside Magispectors, Goblin Riders, Raid Raptors, you name it. I'm going to try and build it and showcase it for you. So for all of those videos, you just need to let me know which ones you want to be seeing the most, and I'll be more than happy to prioritize those so you get to see them as early as possible. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.